Good morning, everybody, to Marketing Matters. I'm Sarah Touchstone, Landmark Title Social Media Marketing Strategist, bringing you Marketing Matters every week at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. We bring you the hot topics in our real estate market. We started out just doing a lot of the marketing stuff, but really, real estate is all encompassing. We cover so much in this Marketing Matters class. So thank you all for joining us today. Today we have Valerie Brown on, Valerie the Appraiser. And I have had the pleasure of doing a couple of these Q&A type of Zoom webinars with Valerie in the past. She is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the appraisal process. And there is no other process, I think, in contention as much right now in our real estate industry as the appraisal process. It is nutso out there right now. So we're bringing Valerie on today to answer any and all of your appraisal questions. I know this is a little different format. Usually, either we've got somebody doing a presentation, or I've got like question and answers, but we're going to do things a little differently today. So utilize the chat window or the question and answer window. Like I said, I know you've got questions about what's going on in the appraisal world. So I'm going to turn it over to Valerie. Valerie, maybe you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you're seeing out there while we get some of these questions in.
Sure. Yeah, so what makes me somewhat unique is I've been a realtor for 30 years and I've been appraising for 19. So I know what it's like to be out there. I've been in, basically I came out of the savings and loan fiasco was when I first started. I came out kind of when it was coming out of the whole crash there. So I've kind of been in two, really, two booms and crashes, and now we're back to booming again. So what makes me pretty unique is again, I'm out there. I know how to talk to sellers and buyers, and I know how to speak the realtor language, and I know how to speak appraiser language. So I tend to translate between the two. Something I also do like to share when I have people's attention is that what it takes to be an appraiser, because a lot of people don't realize that it actually it's 2,500 hours of experience that you have to have before you can even apply for your license, which means you have to train under another appraiser, which is usually full-time for a year. Most people, it takes about 2 years to do. Right now in the state of Arizona, you still need a degree, a college degree. And you also have to take about, I want to say like 225 hours of classrooms. So it's a lot more than becoming a realtor. It's a lot of work and a lot of training, a lot of experience. And, 19 years being an appraiser, I'm still learning things new, doing things differently, figuring out how to find, that one house that just doesn't fit anywhere. So keep that in mind, that appraisers have worked very hard to get their license, and they do have a lot of experience in what they're doing. And with that said, granted, there are some appraisers that don't stay up to date on things, that don't think out of the box, that don't, that have one way of doing things and that's it. There's always that, right? You're going to have that with everybody. But for the most part, most appraisers do know what they're doing. What I like to do in coaching realtors is how to kind of work with them, and offer your expertise in the neighborhood. Because I've been in real estate for 30 years. And as much as I know markets, and I do know a lot of markets, not only are they changing constantly, but, I can't know everything about every single market area in Phoenix, in the Phoenix metro area. There's just no way. So I do rely on the realtor, the listing agent, because the listing agent, they've talked to their seller. They should know their little neighborhood pretty well. Usually the seller knows who's who and what's what, and what house, was a divorce sale, what house, all the different things going on in the neighborhood. So I like to ask the listing agent questions to get to know the market and see what's going on. Is it the hottest school, in the district these days? Is it, what's going on? So So yeah, so that's kind of my experience. And like I said, I do like to help realtors. I do a lot of different classes, and I do a lot of different sort of training things just to kind of help you guys figure out how to manage this market, but also how to negotiate too, right? Because I think probably the most important thing I have to say today is, don't rely on the appraiser to make your deal happen. I think that's probably the most important thing I could say today. Is don't do that. There's other ways of making deals happen, which I think we've been doing this long enough that you guys all know that. So
That's really good advice.
Yeah, my intro.
That's really good advice. And if you're out there and you're busy and you know that you've got to get creative right now, this is a different market. This isn't just, let's write a contract and it's going to be all peaches and cream and everybody's going to get what they want. This is a market where buyers are not getting what they want. Sometimes sellers aren't even getting what they want. So it's kind of, you gotta thread the needle and weave and bob and get creative out there. But I think that is great advice. There is no, there's no one within the chain that you can solely rely on. It really is, it's a partnership. It's a team effort out there in the real estate market right now. Real estate agents are not one-man shows. They've got to kind of pull from all facets of their real estate community. And appraisers, that's just one of the facets of their real estate community. So Valerie, we do have our first question in, and as she's answering this question, please be, thinking of another question that you all have. We have Valerie here for about 30 minutes or so, so let's utilize her. So our first question is, do you add value for stucco versus wood siding? And if so, how much do you add for a typical 2,000 square foot single story home?
So, that's a good question. I get all the time, I get questions of, what's something worth? So how appraising works is we take similar homes in a similar location. The first rule of real estate is location, 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 right? Although I have to argue right now, I think today in this market, it's timing, then location. But so I think we want the most recent sales before, I'd rather go out a mile and find a similar neighborhood and find a house that sold yesterday than go use one, in the neighborhood that sold 3 months ago. But that's a little side note. So when it comes to updating your house or remodeling your house or the different types of homes, first and foremost, if you have a stucco home that's already a stucco home and you're in a stucco home neighborhood, then most likely you're going to use stucco home and tile roof homes for your comparisons. So to say that there's a value difference, if you took all the sales in that neighborhood and then you went over to the street, maybe a block away, and then there's all the comp shingle homes that are wood siding, and you took all those homes, and if you were to compare them, you would be able to see, you'd kind of get an idea of what that difference in value would be. Not that means that if you take a side home in a comp shingle roof neighborhood and you put a tile roof on it and you do stucco it, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to use the sales from the other neighborhood, because again, we're back to that location, because all the homes in the surrounding area are comp shingle and the stucco siding. So when it comes, if that was part of your question, should you go ahead and redo something like that? Sometimes you could do an over improvement for the area, right? You can do an over improvement for the neighborhood. If you are the nicest home in the neighborhood, that's not necessarily going to help you. It's actually going to, like I said, you don't necessarily want to be that. So with that said, to actually identify what that difference of that particular thing would be again, to sort of compare and contrast the two. That's how we're supposed to do adjustments. It's not a set amount. So I guess the second most important thing today is going to be cost does not equal value. So if you stucco your home and you do all this stuff and you add 10 grand to the outside of it, that does not mean that that's going to up your house $10,000. In some cases, it doesn't do anything, just because it's what you should have done anyway, because the house needed maintenance. So also don't confuse extra cosmetic items with general maintenance things. You know, your roof needs to be done every 20, 30 years. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of tile homes that need to be done about around the 20, 30-year mark, which is a little scary. So even though you know, you might have a new roof, chances are you needed it anyway. And the neighborhood's going to all start having new roofs and all that other stuff's going to happen. Now, will your house sell faster with a new roof? Yes. Will it probably sell the top of the range of the market? Yes. But you're not going to get an additional $30,000 because you put a new roof on. Same thing goes with your water heater, stove, air conditioning unit. I get a lot of people, especially when I do refis, you know, everybody's like, oh, we got a brand new AC. And I'm like, well, that's good, especially because it's 115 degrees. But unfortunately, those are kind of general maintenance items and they don't really add value per se, but they do add to the overall condition of the house, right? The overall better condition than maybe the house next door that didn't have those upgrades. So then you can kind of, as far as the numbers go, you kind of have that upper range to work with. So that's how, as far as adjustments, that's how we're supposed to do all adjustments. This includes pools, it includes garages. We're supposed to compare, you know, homes, similar homes without a pool, similar homes with a pool, and we get our data, we run our data, and we should be able to come up with what that amount, what that difference is. And again, right now, it's a little challenging because houses are selling so fast and they're going up so fast that sometimes a house with a pool sells for less than the house that sells tomorrow without a pool. So to say that what's a pool worth, it's like, well, I can't prove that it's worth anything right now. So that's one of the challenges we have too. On the other hand, it works really well if, let's say, you're backing to the freeway. It's kind of the same thing though. This is a great time to sell a house that's got a negative influence because buyers don't care and they'll still pay for it. Now, in a year from now, 2 years from now, they'll probably care. And when they go to sell their house, they'll probably care because it probably won't sell quickly and they'll probably have to lower the price in a normal market. But right now, you know, I just don't see a lot of it. I don't see a lot of difference in anything just because the market's being driven by demand more than anything. So hopefully that sort of answered your question.
Valerie, I've got another question. And you and I have been talking leading up to this. And one of the things that you mentioned is that appraisers are so busy right now that you guys kind of have the ability to pick and choose which houses you're going to go, appraise basically. What are some of the determining factors for the appraisers right now that would make them decide like, this is not a house that I'm willing to take on right now?
Oh gosh, so that's a huge question because there's a lot of different variables with that. A lot of you, I don't know if you know, but a lot of times with lenders, we have to work with management companies, and those management companies. So when your buyer pays, $500 or $600 for an appraisal, the management company is taking part of that fee. The appraiser doesn't get all that fee. So right there, right now, we're definitely it's a good time for us to actually be able to be paid for what we're doing. So we're getting higher fees. But like I said, keep in mind, those management companies are trying to get the lowest fee. So they're out there bidding, they're sending your appraisal order out to be bid to the lowest appraiser, which is not a good thing either, because sometimes you get somebody who's very rushed and doesn't do a good job. They shouldn't, but sometimes that happens. But what happens is, I have some with a management company, and I kid you not, and this is a refi, it's not a purchase, but they set the order out from like May 10th and nobody's picked it up. No appraisers picked it up yet. Yeah. So that's what's happening. We get to pick and choose now. We don't have to take anything that we don't want. I mean, right now I'm not taking any new orders. I am so busy. I've got I don't like to book out. Some of these appraisers are booking out 4, 5, 6 weeks. I don't do that because I don't even know if I'm going to be alive in 4 or 5 weeks. So it's like, I just can't live my life like that, but I do. So I try to do at least a week out to 2 weeks out, but then also that gives me time so that when they do call me and they have rushes, especially on purchases, I can get out there and I can actually have some time in a window that I can, stay up all night. But if you pay me enough, I will get that appraisal done in, 48 hours. So I'm kind of working. That's my business. That's my choice of how I'm doing business. Other appraisers do it differently. But what we're seeing too is, when I get the order, I get the address, I do research on it because our fee is, we change our fee based on how long it's going to take us, how much work's involved. It's not just a set fee because every house is different. You know, a cookie cutter home that takes me, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours, that's easy. But I start getting into house, you know, I start getting into horse properties, or start getting into higher dollar properties. Or right now it's hard because there's not a lot of sales. So I'm having to go farther out to find similar sales, especially anything in that 6 to 900,000 range is very challenging right now because there's not a lot of sales and the prices keep going up. And so it's hard to really support that. But so what we do is we're picky. And if I look and I see that there's a listing for 750,000 and the next highest sale in that neighborhood was 650, I'm probably just going to pass because I don't want the headache of dealing with, you know, with it not appraising and everybody getting mad at me. So back to that whole thing of don't rely on the appraisal to make your deal. Make sure that you've got different clauses or cash over or whatever it's going to take to buy that house, because, you know, that is part of the problem. So you have a couple reasons why, if your houses are not getting appraised quickly, there's a few reasons why. And I'm just going to be honest with you. That's just what's going on out there. And I know a lot of other appraisers are doing the same thing. So I'm on a Facebook group with about 8 or 9,000 between like 4 or 5 groups all over the country. And we all compare notes and we all talk about this. So that's just kind of what's going on. And, you know, and we get to do that. So it's definitely something to pay attention to when you have a buyer and that appraisal is not getting done. Find out from the lender, who's that management company, what's going on. Sometimes, you know, you say, hey, if we need to offer more money, you know, you got to offer more money to get that appraisal done, and be prepared to do that. Because it's like, is it worth another $300 or $400 to get that deal done? Or do you want it to sit for another few weeks? So sometimes that's just what it comes down to. So I think that's probably the best answer for that. Obviously, you can't help that houses are selling for over. But again, just so you know that could be a reason why you're not getting the appraisal done, is it because it's just so completely over that the appraiser doesn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. So it's one of those money talks and BS walks, right?
Yeah, it can be, for sure. Definitely. I mean, you make me an offer. These management companies call me like, Valerie, can you help us? We have a rush. And I'm like, well, and I look at my calendar, I look what's going on. I look, well, do I want sleep tonight? You know, it's like, well, make me an offer, make me an offer I can't refuse. And I got to say, I've gotten some good ones, but they've also been difficult ones that nobody else would take. I mean, I do Casa Grande. I do all of Maricopa. I do Pinal County. And I even do, I even go down to Tucson. I'll do 4 or 5 at a time in Tucson, just because they have even less appraisers there. And so they pay me extra to go there, because otherwise they're 5, 6, 2 months out easy, in some cases. So I can pick up some
out.
No, 2 months out, like 6 weeks.
2 months out. Okay.
Sorry.
6 weeks. Okay.
4, 6 weeks. Yeah. 4, 6 weeks out. No, not 6 months. Although from what I understand, there are some cities and states like Oregon and some places, they are like 3, 4, 5, 6 months out. They have so few appraisers. So, but yeah, that's kind of the deal. You just got to be proactive. You got to get involved in what's going on and really find out from the lender what's going on. But again, the lenders are starting to figure out that these management companies are not necessarily helping them. And so they're starting to figure some stuff out, and they're trying to do some different things. And you can always sometimes ask, even though technically you're not allowed to ask for an appraiser, you can, sometimes say, hey, I know that this is busy or that's busy. Sometimes though, you can say, hey, can you check on this appraiser? Because I know she's not, sometimes she's not busy if I'm on the panel, kind of thing. Sometimes they can reach out if they don't have anybody else to take an order. They can go ahead and select an appraiser as long as they show that it's not a pattern. So that's not necessarily violating anything, but it's just done all the time. I've been added to panels because they needed to get an appraiser. So they added me to the panel, and then they were able to assign me the appraisal. So sometimes in that way, you can be a little more, you can actually sort of pick your appraiser. So that's an idea to do too, if you are stuck with it. The other thing I wanted to just say too, is one of the things I do is I do provide pre-list appraisals. And it's more than just an appraisal. I'm kind of like the valuation consultant throughout the whole time. I measure the house, which is super important because I'd say at least 40, 50% are not the right measurements. I also check if, especially if you have additions, if you have other things going on, I can kind of give you an idea of how that's going to play out. And then, we talk about the market, and then I come back and I do the appraisal, but I give you more of a value range rather than an actual value. But we talk about what the value is today, and then we look at what's going on in the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and plan that way. So if you get something over the list price, if you get something kind of crazy, then we at least we can reevaluate it at that time. But the best part is the seller just doesn't have any kind of sticker shock. So in other words, if you list a house for 500, and all the offers are coming at 550, but I've said, hey, 500 is where it's going to appraise at, you're not going to take an offer that's contingent upon the appraisal at 550. And if you do, at least now your seller knows, hey, this may not happen, or you're going to have to lower your price to 500. At least they know ahead of time. So it's not something that they're stuck with, at the last minute, and then they freak out. So, and you get to you get to be the good guy, because I'm the one that tells them what's going on. You get to, you get to be the hero and save the deal and figure out the right thing. So I kind of work with you throughout the whole listing. And then if by chance, and I also give you the actual comps or actual sales to give to the appraiser with notes about each one that I've written as to why this is a good comp, or maybe why it's not a good comp. Sometimes I've done that where, hey, this was a divorce. This was, this house was trashed, even though the MLS doesn't show it, we know for a fact that it was trashed. So I write different notes on there. And plus sometimes I do the extra work, and I do find that completely remodeled house. It looks just like the subject, but it's 2 miles away, but it works. And it helps. Sometimes it can help give that appraiser at least something to go with. And you always want to, so number 3 thing, that's the most important thing, is you always want to give the appraiser any kind of sales or any kind of info before the appraisal is done, because changing the mind of an appraiser afterwards is much more challenging. And because we've done a lot of work on this, we had to make a decision. And then when we get questioned, it becomes somewhat offensive. And so you kind of put the appraiser on the offense when you do it that way, versus when you hand him the information, he or she has got all the info up front, and then they can research, and then they figure out what they want to do. It's a lot better than just, showing something to them after the fact, and they're like, well, no, I like the way I did it better. Whereas, they might have liked the other ones too. So I always encourage you to give as much information to the appraisers you can. You never give them an appraisal, but you give them sales with notes as to why is this good. Don't just hand them something from 3 miles away and say, oh, here's one I found. Say, well, why is this good? Because if you don't do that, then we just discredit it. Matter of fact, Fannie Mae does allow for you to provide 3 sales, but part of that allowance is you must state why they are better than the ones in the appraisal. So that's something we're not seeing happening. So we're just sending it back saying, you don't tell me why, I'm not going to address this. Because again, that's my time. I don't have time to be looking at stuff that really, isn't good. But sometimes appraisers do make mistakes. Sometimes we miss something. I've done it. I've missed a sale here or there. I was like, oh, I didn't see that. Or sometimes, we have a mindset going in, especially when it comes to custom homes or homes in different areas. We have this mindset going in of how we're going to do it. But wow, the subject's on this gorgeous view lot. So we need to find houses with these views. I had that happen once where I kind of had to back into it because this view is so incredible that I knew someone was going to pay probably 50, 60, 100,000 more just because of that view. So I had to find another house that had a similar view. Even though that house was like, I don't know, 2,000 square feet bigger, I was still able to prove that view was, worth a lot. So like I said, there's just different ways sometimes we have to approach it. It's just not always, there's no standard way of doing it. So
yeah, I love that you brought up the pre-listing appraisal. I listed my house several years ago, and we did that prior to even listing it. And at the time it was, for us just to get a good idea, because we had made so many changes and renovations and stuff to the house. But I think in our market right now, knowledge is power, and having that knowledge before you even dive into it, because we are all over the board. It really is important. And it actually, Valerie, it reminded me of one of the topics that they had been brought up on another call that we had done together. And that was the second appraisals. When agents are not, they're getting an appraisal done. And of course, we're talking about barely being able to get the one appraisal done, but it does come up from time to time where they are wanting, they don't like that first appraisal and they're requesting a second appraisal. How often are you, and I think we talked about this was probably over a year ago now, but how often is this still coming up right now?
Well, the thing is technically you're not supposed to be able to order a second appraisal unless you change lenders, obviously, because sometimes lenders have to have their own appraisal. And again, we're talking a difference between if you're FHA, VA, or conventional. What's possible though is, especially if you're dealing with FHA or VA, if you can prove that there are deficiencies in that appraisal. I mean, deficiencies, like some major errors. Not just, oh, they didn't use the comps I liked. If you can prove that there's major errors in that appraisal, then, you can usually get a second one done. As far as going, if you go to another lender, you can probably get a second appraisal done. Again, we're talking, I don't know how much longer in time that's going to take. But,
especially now.
yeah, exactly. That's going to take a long time. So, I mean, it's possible to do all that. I know, like I said, with FHA, the FHA appraisal stays with the house for 3 months, 4 months. And that stays with the house. VA, the appraisal stays with the buyer. So at least with VA, you could actually get a whole new appraisal done, later on. And it's kind of sad because, I mean, I'm doing refis and I've had a couple times where it's, I'm doing a refi and they're allowing for an exterior refi where I don't have to go in the house, and I do the appraisal. And then for some reason, I think they decide they want to take cash out or something. And then like, okay, well, we need a full appraisal now. So now it's 3 weeks later and I go in and, well, their house went up like 20 grand because those pendings I had, in the appraisal before are now sold, and they sold for more than what they were listed at. So now I've got 2 new comps or 3 new comps that are great. So now, I just had that happen where they got like $25,000 more because I had to go back in the house and do a full appraisal. So my effective date basically changed to that new date. So there's different ways. There's some ways that you can work around that. But like I said, for the most part, it's got to be in your negotiations. And I think we're all savvy enough now to know that, if you've got a buyer and there's multiple offers, you're going to want to take, you're a seller, you're going to want to take that cash over. You're going to want to take the person that's again, bringing the money into the deal, throwing the money at it. It speaks pretty loud. So.
Yes. Money talks, Valerie.
Oh yeah.
Right now. Yep. Well, this has been awesome. We should do this again. I think, this was a new format for us where we had people engaging and asking questions. So I think they were maybe a little gun shy today, but I would love to have you back again in the future because this is still going to be a huge talking point for us in the real estate industry. So if you want to copy up this recording, just reach out to your business development manager. Valerie, would you mind, while I wrap this up, putting your contact information in the chat window in case anybody would like it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, and there was my slide, appraisal Q&A. This is what we did today.
Well, probably the best, I'm just going to say it to you, but the best way is probably, obviously just to call me, 602-418-76. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to type and type.
I know, I can see your fingers.
Oh my gosh, you can see it. 765. Well, it's my iPad is what I use most of the time. So it's 602-418-7653. That's the best way, just give me a call. If I don't call you back, please call me again. Don't just think I'm, don't want to talk to you, but I'm just so busy. And sometimes if I happen to, or text me, obviously text me too. But again, go ahead and pursue me. Don't, just because if I don't return your call, it's mostly because either I got it during a time I just had so much going on that I forgot, or, just things are crazy. So I'm trying, but I can only do so much. But yeah, give me a call, shoot me a text. Obviously I love to talk. If you have questions, let me know. My fee for those pre-lists, I start at like $300, $325 for kind of basic stuff. And then it, kind of goes up a bit from there, which is still a lot less money than most buyers would pay. And it does help. It's been the realtors that use me, they love it because it takes away any kind of guessing. It takes away it feels like, I think that the sellers feel very confident, you know, when they list, because this market is so crazy, they feel really good and confident about it. And it's worked out really well. And so, yeah, so, you know, give me a call, let me know. If you have any other questions, let me know. And yeah, I'd be happy to come back on. Like I said, I could talk for hours. So
Awesome. Thank you, Valerie. We've got some other great classes coming up, so I'm going to wrap it up with these things that are going on. 1031 exchange. We've been doing a lot of these classes lately because you guys have been out there doing a lot of these 1031 exchanges. And these are the information that you're going to gain when taking one of these classes is going to be vital for you to successfully do a 1031 exchange. So as we've got more people moving from out of state, from California, from the Midwest, from the East Coast into the area, they are wanting to do these 1031 exchanges to protect their money and to pay less taxes along the way. So if you've come across these or you haven't yet, I guarantee as a real estate agent right now in Phoenix, you're going to come across a 1031 exchange. So you're going to want to get in on these classes. I've been on these classes before. It blows my mind about everything that has to go into doing the 1031 before you do anything, before you do all of your regular real estate. So please attend one of these classes because knowledge is power. The next one is going to be on Monday, June 21st at 1 p.m. This is going to be a Zoom class. So if you'd like the Zoom link, please reach out to Beth or myself and we will get you registered for that. It's awesome. And Sheila is great. She really brings it. And then we've got some Canva classes coming up. Jessica Hoyt is going to be hosting these. We've got one coming up next Tuesday at 10 a.m. and then the following Tuesday. So we're going to go do beginner and advance. So wherever you are in the Canva world, attend one of these classes, whether you've never used it before or you've used it a little bit and you want to take it to the next level. I love Canva. I use it just, you know, I've got a great design team at Landmark Title. So I'm very lucky that I don't have to do a lot of my own personal designing when it comes to marketing, but I get on there for a lot of times just for my personal things. Like I'm hosting a party this weekend and I wanted a Facebook banner for my Facebook event. I got on Canva and I created something custom for myself. It took a few minutes and I think it's awesome, right? So if you want, these are Zoom classes. So if you want the Zoom link for that, let us know. Reach out to Jessica or myself. And then we've got an in-person class. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. This is going to be a lunch and learn, going with appraisal things. This is what Valerie and I are talking about today. So if you want to go in person, you've got some more information that you want about the appraisal gaps. This is going to be a great class. This is going to be also next Tuesday at 11 a.m. And this is going to be at our Arrowhead location at the Atrium. Patty and Michael are hosting this. So if you'd like to attend and be fed, let them know. We're happy to register you. And as always, Patty and Michael have their HUD class coming up. We do this class every month. HUD is a beast all on its own. I mention this every week. So if you would like to attend that, it is going to be on Thursday, June 24th at 11 a.m. We'd be happy to get you registered for it. And then Tara's back doing solar classes. Tara's solar CE class is a great class. If you need some CE credits, I highly recommend this class. I've hosted this class before and I've had people attend that don't even need the CE credits. They're just there for the information because it's great information. This one is coming up on August 19th and it is a 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's going to be in person. That's right. CE class in person. So if you would like registration information for this class, just reach out, let us know. We'd be happy to get you registered for it. Also, if you have any CE credits that you are needing, reach out to your business development managers. we're happy to get them scheduled for you, whether they're in person or via Zoom. That's one of the great things about the partnership that you have with Landmark Title, is that if you have classes that you need or want or whatever information, we are the source of the source. We're happy to get those classes scheduled for you. We're happy to get that information to you. That's our job, and we love it. So thank you, of course, to Valerie for being on today. That was great information. I would love to have her back again. And thank you to our business development management team, Beth, Becky, Melinda, Mary, Eric in Las Vegas, Zach, Patty, Michael, and Jessica. Y'all are awesome. You guys make us look amazing out there. And of course, thank you to Landmark Title for allowing us to bring you great webinars and great classes and great information like Marketing Matters. We have 6 offices across the valley, and we have an office in Las Vegas to service all of your real estate, escrow, title, and marketing needs. So please, on your next contract, on your next listing, put Landmark Title in there. We are thrilled to partner up with you and make sure that your deals go smoothly, even in this crazy market. This is what we do day in and day out, and we love it, and we love our clients. So thank you to everybody. We will see you again next week. And of course, if you have any ideas or things that you want to see featured on Marketing Matters, or you're a top producing agent that would love to come on and share your information on Marketing Matters, we'd love to get you scheduled in. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next week.